Well, joining us now is Tara McMullen, the author of the Homefront Devotional, Navigate Military Life with Courage, Hope, and Faith. She's also a Catholic mom and a wife to an Air Force fighter pilot. Thank you so much for being with us, Tara.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Maybe just start with your family's military history. What has your husband's career looked like, and where have you lived throughout the course of it?
So I did not have a background in military history. No family member served. I'm the granddaughter of four immigrants. So then I met my husband while we were students at the University of Notre Dame. He was in ROTC, so I'd already signed up, and before we met, he went to pilot training, and then we moved after we got married to North Carolina, and then California, and now Florida. So we've gone coast to coast to coast, put a lot of miles on the car. But it's been a fun adventure.
Sounds it. And I hope you know that we broadcast the Sunday Mass live from the University of Notre Dame every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Just throwing
Absolutely.
it.
During COVID, we watched every week. That was what sustained us during that time when we couldn't do the Mass.
That's great to hear. Now, since you've written this book, you obviously know the answer to this question. What are some of the unique spiritual needs that military families face?
That's a great question. So this is a very unique lifestyle in that we're far from our families, and so we're always trying to build community, and build and then rebuild again, every time we move. And so the community life is really important, and it's sometimes challenging because you have to meet these people on your own. So for me, the book was really a product of a women's group that from our church in North Carolina. We were looking for a book that kind of helped us understand how our roles as military wives fit into our kind of vocations as wives and mothers and as daughters of Christ. So nothing like that really existed, at least not one that was specifically for Catholics. And so for years we hoped and looked for this book, and some of them were finally like, you're a writer, you could just write the book that we want. So this really came of that, of a group who wanted to understand how we could be making meaningful contributions to one another, both in times when we have great community and times when we're maybe a little alone.
And you touched on a few things already, but what would you say is the hardest parts of the lifestyle for you and maybe for your kids as well?
So for me, I am someone who likes to be in control and I like to plan, and military life pretty much flies in the face of all of that. So our early years in the military were a really humbling experience for me that I don't get to be in the driver's seat very often, that my husband is sometimes in the driver's seat, his command chain is often in the driver's seat, and ultimately we need to rely on God to really be the one driving us. So for me, that was the most challenging part, and that seems to come up most often when it's time for us to move and us to get a new assignment, that we always have a hope for where we'd like to go, and we don't always get to go where we want to. But trusting that that will be a fruitful place for us to land is just so important.
So when times are hard or when you don't feel like you're in the driver's seat, what's an example of a way that your Catholic faith sustains you through one of those difficult moments?
That's a great question. So, in the book, one of the things I talk about is Mary and Martha, that I am so much a Martha that I just want to be moving and moving, and I want to be trying to do everything right. I want to churn down my to-do list, and the reminder that happens so often in scripture that Jesus says, just come to me. Like, you don't have to be doing everything. You just need to be with me. And I think over time that seed has planted in my head that when things are stressful, I need to make the effort to go be with him, to find time in adoration, to maybe pick up an extra daily mass that week, or even just to pray while I'm washing dishes or changing diapers, or like the monotony of our life is just to have honest conversations with him and make it part of our day-to-day routine.
And I know a lot of military families too. It comes to a time when it's time to maybe perhaps re-up or to decide to discern whether you stay in or stay out of the military and go back to being a civilian. And talk about that and what, as a family, how to discern that.
That's so challenging, and that's really a phase we're in now. And yes, it comes up every couple of years. Um, and it honestly just involves a lot of prayer, a lot of discussions. And so our last assignment, my husband got a master's degree, and we kind of got a taste of what civilian life would look like for us. And we were both shocked to find we missed our military community, that there is something beautiful about serving something bigger than yourself. It's probably something that drew my husband to the military, and it's probably something that drew me to him, was that sense of service, was something that was important to both of us. So after that assignment, we both kind of looked at each other and said, maybe we do stay in a little longer. Maybe we keep doing this despite some of the challenges that it brings, that perhaps the time isn't right for us to leave quite yet.
Now, even though my dad and my three brothers were in the armed service, we're not technically a military family, but you certainly are. What are some of the greatest joys of being a military family?
A great joy, you said?
Joys, yeah, please.
Like I was just saying, like the service component for me is a really fulfilling thing. The other thing that I look forward to, our children are pretty young. We have a newborn and then a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. But when they're older, I hope they see all the different people they've met, all the different cultures they've been exposed to, all the places they've lived, and realize what a beautiful experience they've had, that they have seen more and learned more and been exposed to more people than many people do in their whole lives. They have just during their childhood. So I hope they take that and it becomes part of who they are. And I also hope they see the service component, the faith component that has nourished us throughout this time. I just hope it all shapes them in beautiful ways.
How can us civilians best support friends and family who are in the military?
What a great question. Um, that's a great question. I think just understanding, like, I admit before I married my husband, I had very little understanding of what day-to-day life looks like. You get snippets from the headlines, but our lived experience is very different than that. It's not all about patriotism, and all families in the military are not the same. We come from so many walks of life. Our day-to-day lives look so different from one another. Um, so just being welcoming when those people are part of your community, being supportive when they move into town. Like we land in these towns and we don't know anything. We don't know where the doctor is. Like we don't know where to get a haircut. Like there's so many little things that you can do to just support and be kind and be welcoming. And we have been so lucky that we have found that in so many of our communities.
That's great.
Now your book, which I'm holding right here in my hand, the Homefront Devotional, Navigate Military Life with Courage, Hope, and Faith. It's divided, I noticed, into 12 sections. Like, for example, one of them is friendship and sainthood. How did you choose these 12 topics, by the way?
I kind of was thinking through like that initial group of women that I talked about. We all our husbands were not in the same career field, and so I was trying to think of what are the things we all have in common, what are kind of the milestones that all military families can relate to, because I wanted to tell our stories, but not as a tell-all, but more as a window into, do you see yourself in the stories that I'm telling about my family, and does that help you feel seen? Does that help you feel empowered in a way? So these are 12 of the milestones that I think most military families will recognize and will say, yes, I see that. And those for me, the other part of that equation were the lessons that I learned from a lot of those. So just trying to pair a lesson with a milestone and then finding either a scriptural um, kind of pinpoint, or the catechism is in one of the chapters, Lives of the Saints. So always finding a reference point to anchor each chapter, because that's what this ultimately needs to come back to is how does it make us more faithful Catholic? How does it make us stronger Christians as we live out these roles in the military and military families?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Tara, for being with us. This is a great book, the Homefront Devotional, and we're going to do a giveaway of your book at the end of the show. But where can people buy the book if they don't win?
AveMariaPress.com or anywhere you buy your books.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to meet you. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
Happy Independence Day.
Thank you.